You know what's really scary? It's October and you still haven't asked your coworkers what they're going to be for Halloween. Well, with just enough time to spare before All Hallows Eve, here's a quick history of Halloween. Now, if you're American, you might celebrate with costumes, candy, and carving pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns. But did you know that these traditions almost didn't happen? Not only does Halloween not belong to Americans, the US isn't even its namesake. Halloween is actually a shortened version of All Halloween, which is celebrated on October 31st, and it was a day for the Christian Church to remember all the dead, especially those who died in the preceding year. But this Day of the Dead celebration wasn't always such a happy occasion. For the first few centuries, All Halloween was more like a Day of the Departed where spirits could return to earth and wreak havoc. People would dress up in costumes, light bonfires, and say prayers for the dead. The modern celebration of Halloween can be traced back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, which took place on November 1st. The Celts were an ancient people who lived in what is now Ireland, Britain, and northern France, and for them, November was the end of the harvest season and the beginning of the dark, cold winter. This didn't bode well for their food supply, so it was a somber occasion. As the days grew shorter and the nights grew longer, the Celts believed that the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. So on the night before the new year, they celebrated Samhain, or the shortening of the day. They celebrated with bonfires, costumes, and feasts. Some scholars suggest that the wearing of costumes during Samhain may have been inspired by the Druidic or Celtic practice of disguising oneself as a deity or other supernatural being to avoid detection by evil spirits. Others have noted that some of the customs associated with Halloween, such as divination and the eating of certain foods, may have been influenced by the Greek celebration of the goddess Hecate, who was often depicted carrying a torch, which may have inspired the jack-o'-lantern. Regardless, the influence of paganism in early Halloween celebrations cannot be denied. In fact, many Christians during the early centuries considered Halloween a pagan holiday and discouraged its celebration. Pope Gregory IV tried to suppress it altogether, but the holiday's popularity only grew, and by the 16th century it had taken on a life of its own. In Ireland, Scotland, and England, people would go door to door singing songs and reciting poetry in exchange for food. In America, where the holiday was brought over by European immigrants, this tradition evolved into trick-or-treating. Meanwhile, the carving of pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns is believed to have originated in Ireland. They used to carve scary faces into turnips and potatoes and put candles inside to ward off evil spirits. When Irish immigrants came to America, they found that pumpkins were much easier to carve than potatoes, and the tradition stuck. But whether you celebrate with candy, costumes, or carved pumpkins, we can all agree on one thing: Halloween is fun. So happy Halloween from all of us at Life Noggin, and don't forget to stay tuned for more videos. And if you want more fun facts, you can check out our social media. Well, that was a lot of information. Let's take a quick brain break. What do you call a lazy kangaroo? A pouch potato. Okay, now that you've recharged your brains, it's time for a little review. Question number 1. What holiday was All Halloween meant to replace? Trick-or-treaters would be disappointed to learn that All Halloween wasn't originally meant to be a fun holiday. It was meant to replace All Days of the Dead, a day to honor the dead. Question number 2. What group of people celebrated Samhain? The ancient Celts celebrated the holiday of Samhain, which took place on November. And question number 3. What vegetable did they carve scary faces into to ward off evil spirits? Turnips and potatoes were the vegetables of choice for the Irish, but when they immigrated to America, they found that carving pumpkins was much easier. Okay, now it's time for your bonus question. What is the meaning of Halloween? The word Halloween means the evening before All Hallows Day, also known as All Saints' Day, and that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching.